Let's do it, guys. We'll hop into today's show, which is, as always, sponsored by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out all the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Bull Kevin Stefanski has yet to name a starter for Sunday. He said he will take some time to make a decision on who will be QB1 against the Bengals. It could be Jameis, it could be DTR, and heck, let's throw Bailey Zappe into discussion because I think there's actually a chance it could be Bailey Zappe. It's up to you four.
Yeah.
Who should be, not who will be, but who should be the starter for the Browns against the Bengals on Sunday?
You know what the saddest part of this, guys?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. That's the saddest. I feel like they all feel kind of hopeless. We know what Jameis is, and the other two guys, I'm not that intrigued to see. But we got to have an answer. So what is it, Dustin?
The answer is DTR.
Okay.
And it's not even close. I mean, it's the only option that makes any sense at all, and here's why. DTR's under contract for 2 more years. You got to see what you have in this guy. We sort of know what we already think we know about DTR, but that is to be determined. Like, the guy's still a young enough player where he could develop into something. I'm not betting on that, but we know what Winston is. Winston probably gives you the best chance to win.
I will say from this perspective, as a Bengals fan, and the Bengals still have playoff hopes, obviously, long shot, but they're still alive, I'd rather DTR play.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's my point, is that Jameis gives you the best chance to win the game.
Right.
The wins and losses at this point don't matter.
They don't.
In fact, the loss would actually help the team. So the way you lose the game, without saying you're losing the game, is you play the young quarterback because you hopefully can gain something in terms of intel about the kid.
And Tyvis, as you go here, obviously, if you're going to start DTR, this is a good week to do it because while the Bengals can score, their defense is very bad.
Yeah. I think that, first of all, they've been wanting DTR to get some playing time this entire Jameis experience. I think they've been kind of plotting on his downfall just a little bit. I don't mean to say it like that, but you know what? You catch my drift.
Well, to your point, but when Watson, remember the week Watson got hurt, DTR was the second quarterback. Yeah. Winston had been dropped.
Well, that's
3,
because they were going.
Yeah.
I felt like they were probably going to go back to more of a Kevin Stefanski offensive approach, which I still, going past this season, that's a question that they got to ask themselves. Are they going to be more Ken or more Kevin? I think this team works better when you go Kevin if you got a run game. Right now we don't have a run game, so that's why Ken's stuff is working better. But to Dustin's point, DTR is the only person that's going to be on this roster past this season, outside of Deshaun, but he's not even in this conversation right now. So I think you owe it to yourself to at least give him 1 week, full preparation week. I hate the fact that they haven't named one. I'm hoping that that's just something that you're doing to the media, because if you sitting there and you giving reps, some first team reps to Jameis, to DTR, and to Bailey Zappe, and then on Thursday or Friday you're going to say, oh, you know what, we're going to go with DTR. Well, heck, you've been putting him in that same situation the past, he had 4 starts, 3 out of the 4 starts, he's been in that same scenario. So I hate the fact that they do that. Just give DTR his 1 week. Hey, you're the starter, you're preparing, you're taking all the first team reps. Let's see what you got. Because I think we need to see that. The last time we seen that was the Denver game last year. He looked like he may have started to turn a corner, but then boom, he gets injured. So it's, to this point, he's been in the league, 2 years now, and we really don't know. I guess we kind of got an idea, but we don't really know what he is. And if the season's lost anyways, and the Cincinnati defense isn't that great to begin with, then I think, you go give them a chance, because every time you've thrown them in the fire, it's been against Pittsburgh, it's been against Baltimore, all these teams with these tough defenses. Give them a chance to go out there against a team that's struggling defensively. That way, after this game, you give him this full week, you know your answer. The most part, you'll have an answer on what you think of him as a starting quarterback, and I think that's the best move moving forward.
I'm starting DTR because I not only want to find about DTR, I want to find about Kevin Stefanski, because I'm tired of giving these blank checks to Stefanski. Does he really get the best out of quarterbacks? Well, you down put DTR in.
Well, Ken's calling the play.
Hey, listen, he's in that offensive room, right?
What?
He's in the office. Is Kevin not part
Who's
of the plan no more?
the quarterback's coach?
They don't have one.
They don't. Who is
I
it?
thought it was Ken.
It's Dorsey.
Why do the Browns not have a separate quarterback coach?
So are we saying now that Kevin has nothing to do with the offense?
No, I'm not.
I'm not saying that.
Not saying
Okay.
that, but
Okay.
you can definitely tell that this is more of a Ken's
okay.
style.
So what I'm saying to you is, all right, we heard all year long that it was Watson. We heard before that it was Baker. Well, listen, I just saw you with Jameis Winston. He throwing picks. We'll put DTR in. DTR go in for 3 games. Let's see what he could do. You can't coach him up. You can't get him to play. Let's see what he got. If he's bad, then I'm going to need to ask myself, what makes me think that all of the quarterbacks that y'all brought in are terrible and it's not your fault? I got to evaluate you. Like, I don't know why there's
talking
this,
Kevin on this.
I'm talking to Kevin. Why is it a blanket Kevin is cool or Dorsey it's cool? No, your quarterback play has been terrible for 2 years. I mean,
Joe Flacco was.
Joe Flacco throw just as many picks as Winston.
Not as much Winston.
Hey, listen, hold on.
I'm not about to see
Hold
that
on.
you do that.
No, it's not to do that.
Hold on.
Do that.
He didn't throw 2 pick sixes in the playoffs?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
But overall,
3? He didn't throw 3 in the playoffs?
but you say threw as many interceptions.
How many picks did Flacco throw?
He had 9 last year. Winston has 12 this year.
Okay, how many games? Who played more games?
Flacco did, didn't he?
Are you
Flacco
including
was-
the playoffs?
I'm
Flacco
including
was
all that.
third one as a starter,
Played 6
so he
games.
played 6 games if you include the playoffs.
Okay, how many Winston did throw? 12 in how many games?
It's about the same actually.
All right, fair enough.
It's,
My question is
How many
this,
touchdowns?
for Flacco last year.
Yeah.
1 second.
and I was the Flaccavelli guy.
Yeah,
You are.
Still am. I like Flaccavelli.
You want him
They
back?
just throw picks.
You take him back?
No.
Okay.
Listen. I'm willing to get rid of the whole.
That's what I
quarterback room.
said.
Flacco had 13 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Okay.
And what's
That was the
Jameis?
regular season, and then if you add the playoffs, then he had 3 more picks.
So 13. So if you add it up, playoffs with the regular season,
Yeah.
he hit 13 and what?
Fair
Did
enough.
he throw a touchdown in the playoffs?
I don't remember.
I remember.
It's
He had
irrelevant.
He had
It
essentially
don't matter.
13 and 11.
It don't matter. G's right. It's about the same.
G's
yeah.
about he's about,
About
the
to
same.
say. So for me, I need to figure this out because guess what? We need a quarterback, and we need to have somebody evaluate whether or not these quarterbacks are good.
Yeah.
And
Let me-
play DTR.
Before, just a sidebar off of this. When you guys played in the NFL, you had correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a defensive backs coach, right?
Yeah.
And then underneath the defensive backs coach, wasn't there a separate safety coach and cornerback coach?
So
Well,
you can go first if you want.
It depends on certain rooms. You had
Yeah.
a corners coach and a safeties coach. Yes. But I don't then you had teams where you had just one guys to have an overcharge, but they have
Okay.
assistants, if that's what you're saying.
But there's at least one guy on every team who's just for the defensive backs. And in a lot of teams, there's 2.
There's usually a corners coach and a safeties coach.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that your experience also?
Well, it was different. A couple places that I was at.
Yeah.
Except for San Fran, we had
when I was in Buffalo. Go ahead, sir.
in San Fran. I just had Jeff Halfley.
There was just one.
He was corners
DB
and
coach.
safeties.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dustin, your
When I was
case.
in Buffalo, George Katopoulos was our safeties and corners. He's a secondary coach.
Yeah.
When I was in Philadelphia, we had a corners coach and a safeties coach.
Right.
At the time when I was in 07, John Harbaugh was working with the safeties, and like McDermott was working with the corners. And the previous year we had a different corners coach. But like when I was in Minnesota, my first year there, we had a corners and safeties coach. We didn't even have a specific secondary coach.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it just depends on the
For
organization.
the,
how
for the
they run
most
it.
part, it's a corner and a safeties coach.
There's
I'd say
okay.
about 80% of the league.
So
is a corner
most
and a safeties
teams
coach.
at defensive back have 2 coaches for the defensive backfield. Most.
Yes.
And obviously they have a minimum of 1 plus the defensive coordinator. Why on earth, for the most important position in football, would you not have a solo quarterback coach where that's his only job? Most teams do
because usually the quarterback coach is usually the offensive coordinator, so you want your quarterback. You don't. It's a lot that goes into the fact that trying to relay the same message. The message can get lost if it's going through different people.
But couldn't the same thing happen if there's a defensive backs coach and a safety coach?
No. It's happened before, and you know what happens?
Yeah,
we gonna meet together.
Okay, so Mike, I don't know how easy this is
That's
to find
happened
out.
before. Actually.
I'm looking up different. Like the Bengals have its own quarterback coach.
Yeah, I'd love to know what percentage of teams actually have a quarterback coach, because it would make sense to me to have a quarterback coach in addition to the offensive coordinator. I don't know why they can't be on the same page.
I really think it's because of the message. They want the message. If I'm the OC and I tell the quarterback coach something, and he puts his own spin on it and tells that quarterback something, like it might get lost. But if I'm the OC,
the same thing could happen at every other position where they have a coach.
I think you're really making something out of
no.
Not a big
I think you're reaching both.
So it's like this. Think about if they just said, all right, well, we got McNuggets. Give us another producer. But this producer is going to come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
But McNuggets has assistants. Earl and Anthony are his assistants.
And I'm sure the Browns have other coaches that are working with their quarterbacks that aren't going to be titled on the web. You know, I mean, like there are tons of guys around coaching these players.
But Earl, they're not assistants. They have different positions.
They're co-producers.
They're producers of different things. Now, well, here's the thing. But think about it. If those producers, Mike sends a rundown, and then Anthony sends you a rundown. Like, nah, dog, this rundown over here, I think we should change block C. You're like, hold on, Anthony. When did we start changing blocks here?
I'm fine if you guys say I'm making something out of nothing. That's fine. I'll let it go. But I don't accept, because a couple of you have made the same argument. I don't accept that, because every other position group has an assistant coach. Why wouldn't that happen there if that's such a problem?
Because those other positions are not as intricate and detailed as quarterback.
All right. Okay.
Well, and the other thing, too, is now Stefanski's not calling the plays. Like, he's sort of your quarterback coach. I mean, he's the guy that's going to be involved mostly with those guys more than anybody else. So you now have two guys. One guy who played quarterback in the league. The other guy who is, basically cut his teeth calling plays, being a quarterback coach, working with quarterbacks. So I don't know that you have to have somebody else on the team. I mean, obviously, there's more than one way to do it, because other teams have different ways of going about their business. Right. I just don't think this is something that's going to be the reason why the Browns are X, Y, and Z.
All right, fair enough.
Real quick, this is actually I just went through 15-ish coaching staffs on NFL.com.
Yeah.
Some have specific quarterback coaches. Some don't. The Browns actually have a guy named Ashton Grant. Are you familiar with who that is?
Nope.
I do not know.
Never heard of him.
He is listed as an offensive assistant / quarterback specialist on the Browns staff.
Yeah. All right, so they do.
So maybe they do have.
All right, fair enough.
I was sitting there listening to the post game sound on Sunday after the game as I'm doing the post game show,
which I was listening to, by the way.
Yeah, you were. Shout out to
I
Bull.
texted. There's some caller who called, said the stupidest thing. I don't remember what the caller said.
I forgot to.
But the caller said something so dumbass. I text Tyvis and Jeff. I'm like, hang up on this friggin' guy. This guy's an idiot. I don't remember what it was.
Is that we got that when I got Bo had said the same thing. He was like, when I seen him yesterday and did the radio show, he was like, do y'all gotta take every call? I'm like, well, if it's on the thing. But anyway, so I'm listening to post game and I'm listening to sound, and I like, obviously Kevin Stefanski talks first right after the game's over. And I'm listening to him talk about, they was asking him about Jameis throwing the picks and all those things. And you can hear the frustration, which is the first time, he's pretty calm, but you can hear the frustration in his voice about, he was like, he's not supposed to do those things. I don't know why he did that. Like, usually he don't say stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then the funniest part is we listen to Jameis. And Jameis, they asked Jameis about the interceptions as well. It's the first time Jameis lost his cool on it. Like, he was frustrated about the stuff, because he's like, this is the thing. Y'all don't see it the way that I see it. Like on the first interception, he was like, okay, they ran a disguise. I didn't understand it was a disguise, so I threw a pick and blah, blah, blah. He said the last one, he said I threw it to a receiver. He didn't come back to the ball, and that one got picked off and things like that. And it was funny because I was listening.
That's a lot of excuses, right?
I was listening to his reasoning, and then I thought about Kevin's reasoning about how he's like, Jameis knows he's not supposed to do those things. He's got to stop trying to force it, like all these things. Not saying that's what he said, but that's basically what he was saying. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, like, it's a disconnect there, because I understand why Jameis is saying what he's saying, but Yeah,
you're okay with
no,
the excuse
I understand.
making?
I don't
Like,
consider it an excuse.
I don't-
consider it.
no,
I consider
his
it
explanation.
him telling you
why he
threw
did
the
it.
pick.
Yeah, like I understand why
I mean, what's
he
the
did
excuse for that first pick? He was like throwing a Hail Mary on that
He
play.
said that they was in the disguise. He thought that it was only a 1 high safety. He didn't know that it was a 2 high safety. So
Well, isn't
when
it his job to know?
When he threw
Of course,
it,
it's his job to
it's
know,
his
but
job
he's
to
acknowledging
know.
he made a mistake.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When he threw it, he
Titus-
had no idea his other safety was
But
coming.
Titus, you made it seem as if he was getting pissed at the media for the questions.
Yeah, he was like upset.
Yeah.
Like you could tell he's frustrated with the whole thing. And it was like
Yeah. Frustrated with himself or with the questions?
both. A little bit of both. Because he was basically like to me, it
Have you ever made a mistake that was so obvious to you? And someone asked
Yeah,
you
that's
about
what
it,
it is.
And,
Like
and you're like,
it's like
you're like,
he
honey,
made it
this is
seem
exactly what happened, and like I don't need you to ask me about it because I know I effed up, and this is why.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah, it
that's
was-
kind
it
of how
was-
I took it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like y'all. He frustrated that y'all don't see it the way he seen it. Like that's it. Like like y'all don't even understand. Like that they made a good play. Like y'all don't even acknowledge the fact that
They
these
showed a great
guys
disguise.
made a good
They
play.
fooled me
Yeah.
into throwing an interception, which is not a good thing to do.
Right.
And that's why it happened, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So that was the first time that I seen both parties kind of like disgruntled a little bit, and I was like, okay, that's
Oh, that's gonna happen.
But they got it. But like, it's crazy that this has been a thing for weeks, and they still not on the same page. Like that's the part that I don't understand.
So-
Especially if Kevin ain't calling plays. If he is back in the quarterback room, like.
So
but I don't. But then again, I guess he did try to do. What was the game after the Denver game where he kept skipping balls off the field and stuff because he was like trying not to throw picks and he was overthrowing and all those.
So,
things.
Tyvis, let me ask you a question.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
What quarterback has been on the same page with Kev?
Which quarterback has been on the same page as Kevin?
Yes. DTR don't even know when he's starting half the time.
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, if my mind,
Case
goes
Keenum.
back to that, Jacoby Brissett threw some interceptions too.
Case Keenum.
There certainly were times. Listen, Baker and Stefanski, until their last year, obviously were on the same page. He was on the same page with Flacco. Flacco liked playing for Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
But it's been, there's been plenty of times where we've heard Kevin Stefanski, not just with quarterbacks, where we've heard Kevin Stefanski say something and a player say something else, and you're like, what's happening? That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah.
Jacoby, he had 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and some spot duty. That's a 2022.
And for him, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Guys, I know we're talking quarterbacks here
Yeah.
with Stefanski, and we're trying to put the blame on him. Like to me, obviously that's a big part of this. Is the quarterback position needs to play better, but the bigger issue we have to deal with now with Kevin Stefanski is what we're watching on the field and his team. I think he's losing his team, which is something we've never really said about Kevin. I mean, you look at the Saints game, and you look at this past weekend's game against Kansas City, a game that you could have won that game. The Chiefs gave you every opportunity to win the game, and yet you couldn't get it done. The team basically quit, I thought.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you do going forward because I don't know that this team has a leader of the ship.
It doesn't appear to be. We were talking about it yesterday. Should you fire Kevin Stefanski? And real quick, Mike, before we switch it up, the four of us who were here yesterday was Jason and Jay, and for you two guys, and we were all a little on the fence about it. Even like Jason and I have been two big supporters of Kevin Stefanski, and Jason's been the biggest, really. And even he said, "Hey, I wouldn't fire him, but I understand if he gets fired. I understand if people want to fire him." And I'm on the other side of the fence now, where I'm like, I understand why people want to keep him. The continuity is important, but I just don't have enough. When I make the good and bad list on Kevin Stefanski, I think the bad is past the good.
Yeah, the only problem with this, if you fire him this year, it's not necessarily a great year to be getting a coach because you've got teams that are going to be out there that already have things in place. Like, who's not going to want to go coach the Bears? And you got a quarterback in place that looks like he's going to be good.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
if the Bengals fire Zach Taylor, which I'm
Bengals,
hopeful,
you could
but
have
I
Joe
don't
Burrow.
think so.
I mean, there's opportunities out there that are much better than Cleveland, which is an uncertain situation at quarterback and the front office and our ownership. There's just and it's Cleveland.
I hear you, but I don't know that it's going to, I don't think that's a good enough reason to keep Kevin Stefanski. My concern is if they do get a young quarterback, which I'm not sure they're going to.
Well, and I don't know if Kevin can coach a team through another year like this where he can keep things together.
Right.
He's already shown in the last several weeks that things have started to fall apart.
Exactly. And then if you fire him mid-season, then that's just a mess next year.